What's the first play that you ever did, and how old were you?
The first play I ever did, I was actually a bit of a late bloomer. I was 13. Um, it's a weird one to start with, but it was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was Judah, so the oh no, not he. How you can accuse him is a mystery. The Benjamin's Calypso, I think is what it's called. Been forever. I hardly remember the show, but that was my first experience doing like uh, really like first of all just a live performance, like live theater, but first time playing a character in front of people, which was interesting.
And can you remember how did you identify with the character, or was it just sort of like playtime?
For me, I mean, at that age, it was. I mean, it's funny you say playtime because I think I was more of an actor with my friends and playing pretend than I was on that stage in that show. Because I come from a music background, so to me it was like I was doing a concert, and there just happened to be scenes going on in between the songs that I was in. Um, so for me, in that show, it was definitely not a musical like musical theater performance. It was a concert in that sense.
That's good that you were cognizant of that, actually, in retrospect, thinking about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, who's your favorite actor and why?
Oh my gosh, it's changed a lot throughout the years. But someone that like consistently come back to, maybe it's two, but one of them for sure. The first person that I was like, oh my gosh, was Michael C. Hall. I had seen him in Dexter, and I was just blown away because I had seen him briefly in 6 Feet Under. My parents had been watching that show when I was younger, and I'd come in every now and then, and I was just seeing how different this one person could be in these roles was incredible to me, and seeing how he approached someone so complicated as Dexter was a huge inspiration to me when I was watching the show. Um, yeah, definitely Michael C. Hall.
What three things do you bring to the table when you're given the task of
Uh,
taking on
f-
a character?
for sure, enthusiasm. I would say I think that I approach every character with a level of like almost as if I've grown up with them. I think is how I feel like it's like I'm ready to dive into this person. Um, Drive comes with that because I mean the saying, you know, if you're doing what you love, you never have to work a day in your life is kind of what it feels like. Is I just have so much fun picking apart these characters and these people. So it's that enthusiasm sort of makes it easy to work hard and gives me that drive. Um, and I think sort of encapsulating all that is just the passion for the work is like I said, you know, I was more of an actor with my friends playing pretend than I was on that stage when I was 13.
Mhm.
And that's been true since I was like 3 years old. I've always been playing pretend and messing
Yep.
around. And I think that that sense of play has stayed with me
Mhm.
since then.
Great. What's your favorite role that you've
That I've
portrayed
done
since you were the rock star in the
since I
show?
was the rock star
Yeah.
in Joseph. Yeah, that's that right there seems like an oxymoron. Rock star and Joseph. um, but I was in a show not too long after that, actually, Titanic, the musical, and I played Frederick Barrett. And there's just there's been a lot of fun musicals that I've been in, a lot of fun shows, and a lot of fun roles. But something that was really special about that one for me was the fact that it was a real person, and I could actually research about their life and how they lived. And we went to Titanic museums and exhibits around Orange County to like really like get the sense of like the journey, what these people went through, and I could find my character's name everywhere that I went, and I could research articles about him and actual newspaper articles from the time period that had mentioned his name, which was insane. And I think that that was the first time for me that I fell in love with theater. Um, And so that role has a special place in my heart because of that.
And what did you learn about him from in the historical research?
Oh my
What
gosh. So he was a minor. So like very low in sort of like his like status in society. Would go off to the mines every day, and he had his wife, which is different than the musical. But the real Frederick Barrett had this wife in central London, and he would leave her every day to go off to the mines. And he got suspicious because one of his buddies in the mine said, "Hey, I don't know, this isn't really my place, but someone has been coming into your house after you leave, and I thought you would want to know that." And so he comes home one day after leaving, about like 5 minutes after, and sure enough, he sees a man go into his home. He comes in and sees this man in bed with his wife, and so he breaks it off with her and like goes on the spiral. And he was like, "I need to get out," and so he booked passage on the Titanic as one of the head firemen, like running the boiler rooms. It was engine room number 5, was where he was working, and he just sort of just delve into his work to forget what was going on. But then as soon as that happened, when they hit the iceberg, he jumped into action, actually saving the life of almost everyone in his engine room. But unfortunately, his boss, the foreman of the engine room, was in his room when it hit, and so he told him to get out. And so he unfortunately lost the his foreman. One of his other friends had broken a leg, and so he went up to get help. But as he was leaving, the bulkheads weren't high enough, and so that room got flooded as he left, and so he watched his friends die as he's leaving. Runs up to the lifeboats, gets on one of the lifeboats, and pulls off like an action movie stunt where the lifeboat above theirs, as they're getting wheeled down, he was the head of the lifeboat. The lifeboat above theirs broke and was coming straight down on top of them just as they hit the water. So he grabbed his knife and cut his lifeboat off the lines of the ship and grabbed the oar and actually pushed off the side of the ship to make just enough room for that other lifeboat so they weren't crushed to death by this thing falling into the water. And what's really interesting is after he gave this testimony in court, he disappeared. There's no certificate of his death. No one knows where he went after the testimony. He is just gone after
Hmm.
1912. And I don't know, all of the research I did, I could never figure out what happened to him after that.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you see yourself as an artist in 3 years and 5 years?
In 3 years, I would love to be in a film. I think that would be so much fun to be a part of a feature film. And 5 years, I would love to be heading a series. That's my goal, my dream right there.
All right. Thank you.
Of
And
course.
you have a monologue for us?
I do. I was wondering. I can do a an English dialect if you would like to hear that with the monologue, or if you'd like me to just do it with my natural voice. I can do it either.
Uh, how are you most comfortable?
I'm honestly so comfortable with both. I grew up with Lord of the Rings, and so
Okay. Then I would say go for it.
okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay.
All right.
And you can begin whenever you're ready.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it. It began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls. And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men who above all else desire power. For within these rings was bound the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived. for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others, and into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all. One by one, the free lands of Middle-earth fell to the power of the ring. But there were some who resisted. A last alliance of men and elves marched against the armies of Mordor, and on the slopes of Mount Doom they fought for the freedom of Middle-earth. Victory was near, but the power of the ring could not be undone. It was in this moment, when all hope had faded, that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword. Sauron, the enemy of the free peoples of Middle-earth, was defeated.
Thank you. I can tell that you definitely know the history. Very much
Thank you.
so. Thank you so much.